Good Sunday morning to all of you. It's time for another Fed League Flash. And okay, we got 6 games last night that were played. We're going to do our highlighted ones first. Fortunately, there were no unfortunate incidents last night. So, uh, unless you count maybe your team came up on the short end of the stick last night, but um, that's part of hockey. Somebody wins, somebody loses. All right, so first game we're going to touch on Danbury goes to Hudson Valley. First time during the regular season these two teams face each other, and yeah, it's pretty lopsided. 9-3 in favor of Danbury. They end up scoring 6 unanswered goals after giving up a an early goal within the first minute, and then uh, LaRusso settled right in, got his first pro win, so congratulations to him. Yeah, in the midst of the 6 goal flurry, it's Jacob Radcliffe scoring at 17:21. That is the game-winning goal. That was the second period, excuse me. And there we go. So, yeah, Danbury improves to 2-1-1. Hudson Valley falls to 1-3. An announced crowd of 400, and from what I am told, most of those were Danbury fans. This is what happens when two teams are only 44 miles apart from each other. Johnny Ruiz did have a goal and 3 assists in the game. All right, John Moriarty, he takes the loss for the Venom. Stops 39 of 48. Venom playing shorthanded. Their roster was down to 15. So, and then I don't think a suspension is going to come out of this, but there was an incident where Brett Parker for the Venom did get a double minor for spearing and then a game misconduct. But I don't know. If he gets a suspension, it'll probably only be 1 game, but he may not get a suspension. All right, so we had that game, and then we had one of our extra time games. 3 of the 6 games went into bonus time there, so bonus hockey for Saturday. Motor City Rockers, they shore up their defense a little bit, and end up with a 5-4 victory in the shootout over the Wolves. Um, it was kind of back and forth. Motor City takes the lead. Watertown counters, takes the lead themselves. Then Motor City grabs the lead back, gets tied up. And then we go to the shootout, and Trevor Babin makes the saves that he needs to make, saved 40 of 44 during the game. And then in the shootout, stopped all 3 shots. Meanwhile, Anton Brodkin, he suffers his first loss on the year, stopped 27 to 31. Dominic Kafka, he was the only scorer in the shootout in the second round. And unfortunately, another small crowd. And I'm hoping that things pick up. And actually, there weren't any big crowds last night. There's a lot of stuff going on, high school football and college football and other sports going on. So, a lot of distractions. I'm hoping the attendance picks up. Attendance of 442 for the Watertown game. So Motor City is now 2-2, and Watertown 4-1-1. And then after suffering a surprise loss, Athens comes back for revenge, and they get it. A 7-2 victory. I don't know why I didn't write the numbers. I'm sorry. So it was 7-2 in favor of Athens. I'm sorry about that. 7 goals right off the bat. First 31 minutes, and what was it? 31 06. Yeah. It was pretty wild. 3 goals in a 2 minute and 11 second span. Athens seems to have this ability to score quickly and repeatedly, kind of in bursts. Athens goes out to a 7-0 lead. Two late goals in the Dashers, by the Dashers, that gives them a little bit of an upside. Crowd of 830 on hand. So yeah, the goaltenders, Jack Bostet, he saves 22 of 24. Parker Rutherford, he played the first 31-06, gave up all 7 goals, and then Oscar Walgren comes in. He makes 25 saves. So yeah, a lot of shots. 59 shots on goal for Athens compared to 24 shots for the Dashers. Yeah, 7 different goal scorers. And the big key here, Athens just pouring on the offense, 26 shots on goal in the first period. So, and that's kind of set the tone. Garrett Milan, where have we heard that name before? He ends up getting the game winner at 6:18 of the first period. So there's those games. Let's go to the games that I covered in detail. Okay, so of course I was at that game, top game. Had the opportunity and the privilege of singing the national anthem. I don't know, a little luck for the home team, I guess. Binghamton ends up in an overtime win over the Port Huron Prowers. It's 5-4 victory. But the story of this game really was the fact that Port Huron successfully got Binghamton off of their game for the first 40 minutes. Played a lot of hack and whack. And I'm not talking about like dirty stuff, just extremely physical play, active sticks. Yeah, just your typical in hockey game type of plays. We're not talking about penalty slashes. We're just talking about little taps and pushing, shoving, and whatnot. And Port Huron does this very well. This is part of their game. And again, for 40 minutes, they successfully got Binghamton off their quick tempo game, bogged the game down. It was a very physical game and a lot of penalty minutes. The penalty sheet, if you go to the Fed website, is a mile long, and almost all of it is from the first couple of periods. No fights. It's just all minors. 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. There was one double minor, or a couple double minors, but yeah, all minor penalties, but it just added up to a ton of time. So in the first period, before things kind of ended up falling into the whole pushing, shoving, hack and whack, Austin Thompson scores, gets a puck past Valtteri Nuusiainen, who overall looked very good in this game. So it's a 1-0 lead for Binghamton at 1:51. I had just gotten to my seat. And I put up my laptop to start setting everything up, and all of a sudden everybody goes, "Hey, score!" It's Austin Thompson. So I gotta admit, I didn't actually see the puck go in the net. But anyway, we caught everything else. All right, so at 11:27, Binghamton ends up getting into some penalty trouble, get baited into a couple of penalties, take a couple of bad penalties, fill the box. It's a 5-on-3 situation, and Alex Johnson scores at 11:27. That ties things up, one apiece. Shots in the first period, only 7-6. 13 shots total in that first period. So there were a lot of shots, but I tell you what, the Fed needs to look into creating a stat for block shots, because I tell you what, Port Huron did a great job in blocking shots. Binghamton attempted a slew of shots in this game, and most did not get through to Nuusiainen. So salute to the defensive scheme. It was very John Tortorella like, in that, the players were throwing their bodies out there. The sticks were active, blocking up the lanes. Uh, yeah, Port Huron did a great job with shot blocking. All right, so second period, it's Dan Chartrand. He tips a puck in the slot. This is again on the power play. 3:49 of the second, so Port Huron takes a 2-1 lead. That is tied up late in the period, 17:05. It is Cameron Clark in a 4-on-4 situation, so there's still people in the box. We get to 1921, and Lucas Lackney. I did not realize how big this dude was until I saw him in person. He doesn't even have a name on his jersey yet because he just got signed like right before the road trip the Prowers took to New York State. Lackney's going to be a good one though, and like I said, he's a big dude. So Lackney scores in the power play at 1921. Binghamton's like, no, we're not done yet. 1941. It's Blake Tosto on a breakaway goal, kind of a greasy goal. He's kind of hauled down in the process of carrying the puck in, and it sneaks past Nusiainen. And so it is now 3-3. So we get to the third period. Most of the first 40 minutes, somebody was in the box. But we actually had 13 minutes and 22 seconds of 5-on-5 play. It was unbelievable. So, and it wasn't just that the referees put their whistles away. Maybe they did to a degree, but the ice seemed to open up in the third period. At the end of two, the shots were 16-13 in favor of Binghamton. So again, not a lot of shots. And then things just opened up. And so finally, at that 13:22 period, at the end, it's Alex Johnson getting a penalty, and Austin Thompson cashes in. 14:52, power play goal. The puck, there's a mad scramble. The puck was literally sitting on the goal line, and Thompson managed to get his stick in there and push it in. And so that made it 4-3 at that point. But 18:01, Dan Chartrand again on a defensive giveaway, a defensive zone giveaway by the Black Bears. Chartrand puts it home, 5-hole past Nolan Egbert, and ties things up. So we get to the overtime period, and this time 3-on-3, things open up. Binghamton's able to use their skill game better, and a beautiful 3-on-1 breakaway after a stop in the defensive zone. Jesse Anderson feeds pass over cross ice to Kyle Stefan, who ends up scoring, and that's it. It's a 5-4 win for the Black Bears. 34-20 were the total shots. Nusiainen stopping 29. But again, he looked good. The defensive scheme overall of the Prowers was very good. So it was a very entertaining game. So Prowers are now 1-2-1. Binghamton Black Bears improved to 5-1 on the season. All right. And then in Mississippi, it's the first game of the year at Mississippi. First home game. Mississippi comes out wearing the pink jerseys that they announced that they're going to wear several times this year, for support of cancer research. And so, again, this was another game, kind of like Friday night, in which Baton Rouge jumps out to a 3-0 lead, but Mississippi claws their way back this time. It's Greg Hussey in goal for the Seawolves. It's Brendan Colgan once again in net for the Zydeco. So the first period, it's 10-10. Shane Haggerty scores on the power play. And before that had happened, Matt Stoya ended up getting an ejection for abuse of officials. Another situation where I'm not sure if he's going to end up getting getting a suspension or not. We'll find out Monday. 14:30 of the second period, Dmitry Kuznetsov, he scores for the Zydeco, and now they're up 2-0. And third period, Mississippi starts clawing their way back, fighting their way back. At 8:27, it is Dalton Anderson on the power play. He converts and gets Mississippi on the board, fires up the crowd. Tyler Larwood counters at 11:13, even strength. And so now we've got a real interesting game, 3-1. And you're thinking, does Mississippi have something left in them? Yes, indeed. At 18:36, Don Carter Jr. scores a beautiful goal, and that got Mississippi within 1 goal. Immediately, they pulled Greg Hussey and started getting pressure on. 19:25, it's Chuck Costello with his first of the year with the extra skater. And that was really nice goal there. So yeah, now it's all tied up. So then we're getting into overtime, which started with a Baton Rouge man advantage, but they couldn't convert. We go through the overtime period, nothing's resolved, so we go to a shootout, and Dmitry Kuznetsov is the only one that scores in the second round, just like in the Watertown game. It's the second round. And that's the only puck that finds the net in the shootout. So we have a 4-3 victory for the Zydeco. They improved to 3-1-1. Mississippi falling to 1-2-1. Attendance was 25-25 at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. So Costello had that game-tying goal. Blake Keller, couple of assists. He's been quite the find for the Seawolves. They picked him up late. Greg Hussey stops 29 of 32. But for the victors, it's Dmitry Kuznetsov. He scores during the game, and he gets the shootout winner. Narek Alexanian, he ends up with 2 assists on the night. And Brendan Colgan stops 34 of 37 for his second win on the weekend. And then finally, we get down to Blue Ridge, and this wasn't much of a. The game was closer earlier on. It was a tough game, but Carolina ended up just being too much. 5-1 victory there. Crowd of 1301 on hand. In goal for the Carolina Thunderbirds, they had signed Dyson Skinner to a 4-game PTO. See what he's made out of. He's made out of some pretty good stuff. He really played very, very well. Made several big saves and several key saves at key points in the game. Hunter Vorostik, who had gotten the shutout on Friday, he makes his return appearance. Didn't end up being the same. So, Gordon Whalen scores just a minute 44 in, and Carolina right away is up 1-0. But Blue Ridge does counter. 15:52. It's Tristan Sims scoring. And now, the game's getting interesting. The fans are getting into it. But on a power play situation, Roman Kramer scores at 19:35. It's always very demoralizing when you give up a goal in the last minute of a period. It really sets a kind of a negative tone. So Kramer ends up scoring on a beautiful play. That makes it 2-1. And then there is a big brouhaha late in the period. Several people end up in the box. That's actually what led to this power play goal by Kramer, is that there was quite the Donnybrook. And 5 people ended up in the penalty box, and Kramer makes them pay. Shots in that first period, 14-12 in favor of Carolina. In the second period, it kind of back and forth. Finally, Yuri Pastuka breaks through at 16:34. It's a 3-1 lead. And then we had at 18:11, we had a broken pane of glass off to the side, and it took a long time to repair. So what the referees did, they said, you know what, we're gonna send the players to the locker room for the intermission, give the ice crew time to repair this. We'll play 21 minutes and 39 seconds for the third period. And that's how they ended up doing it. Roman Kramer scores again, though, at 7:28, kind of putting the game out of reach at this point. Carolina was just kind of asserting their dominance. And even though there were more shots on goal by Blue Ridge and quality shots, Skinner stopped them. Skinner got the opportunity to put the team on his shoulders and allow the skaters to do their thing, which they did. Late in the game, Vorostic gets pulled, and John Butita scores into the empty net. That is at 18:42, and there's your final 5-1. Blue Ridge did have 40 shots on goal, and Skinner stopped 39. Again, several key saves for a new guy, for the newbie. He looked really, really good, really solid, really comfortable in that. And so he gets his first win in the FPHL. Vorostic stops 31 of 35. Again, just not the results that he was able to get in Friday night. So the team split on the weekend, and Carolina improves to 2-1-1. Blue Ridge is now 1-2-1. So there we go. There is our rundown of the games. We're going to be doing power rankings this week. Yep, first week on here for power rankings. Now, I did a power ranking for the collective group that Minor Pro Hero is doing. I am one of, I think it's 6 now. It was 5 last week. I think there's 6 people that are voting and offering their takes on power rankings. So a Wednesday on the Flash Audio Network, we'll run through that. We'll see how your team stacks up. And but don't forget, it's early. It's only 3 weeks into the season. Long way to go yet. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow on YouTube, we will have Stars and Standings. We don't have another game being played today, so it'll just be Stars and Standings. We'll run through the updated standings, and we will give you the top 5 performers for the week. All right. I'm Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash again. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're following here on YouTube, most importantly on Facebook, and of course on the Flash Audio Network. All right, have yourselves a great week ahead, and we will catch you tomorrow.